Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by Profotech Solutions team. I am Sanjay. We are learning CodeIgniter Framework Beginners tutorial and this is our part number 32. Inside this video session guys, we will discuss about array helper in CodeIgniter. And also guys, if you are a beginner to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and keep watching our previous video sessions to get the clear concept about CodeIgniter Framework tutorial. In our previous part guys, we had discussed about helpers in CodeIgniter where we had seen about the folder structure or how can we actually use the inbuilt helpers of CodeIgniter or how can we make our custom helpers in CodeIgniter. All the basics theoretical concept we had seen so far. So inside this video, we are going to use our inbuilt of helper, something called array helper in CodeIgniter. This is we are going to use inside this video. So if I back to code editor, now to understand about the array helpers in CodeIgniter, we have made a route, means a separate, let's say separate controller for that. So this is route something called learn helpers and this is the controller. Inside that controller we have made a method and inside that method we are going to define or use the methods of that helper. So just back to slides. If you go to the next step, so what basically array helpers are? At the array helpers file contains functions that assist in working with arrays. Let's say that we have multiple arrays or we have a single array. So all operations actually we can perform with the array, like suppose something selecting random elements, or let's say that picking some values from array elements. So all these functions basically we can implement or we can basically complete by using some methods of CodeIgniter inbuilt feature. So how basically we can use, we will see in a bit. So first of all, to use array helpers, first of all we have to load the helper something like that. This load helper and this is the helper name. So if I copy this line back to editor and inside the construct function, I'm going to declare that. Instead of that, you can also declare this line inside anywhere of any controller's method. Now if I save this file, so successfully we have loaded our array helper in CodeIgniter. So what basically methods it actually provides. So if I back to slides, as we can see that the available functions we have something called element and the random underscore element. Inside element function we have to pass some parameters. By actually giving some parameters we can access the functionality of this function. So back to editor. Now we are going to use called the element helper function. So let's say element, this is array helper method. So how can we use that? Let's say that we have an array of let's say apples, or let's say that instead of taking multiple dimensional array we are going to use a single dimensional array to understand about the element function. So let's say that we are going to declare a student array. This is an array which basically contains some of the attributes or the properties of a student, something called name, and let's say that the student name is something like that, and the email address we have something called email, and let's say that this is the email address, and also we have something roll underscore number, and let's say that 21. Now inside this single dimensional array of this student details we have three fields, something called name, email and the roll number. So we are going to use the element function. So how can we use? Let's echo, this is element function of array helper. Inside that function I'm going to pass the properties actually we are going to access from this array. So inside this element function, let's say that we are going to actually access the name value from this student array. So how can we retrieve? The first actually we have to pass a key name, something called the name, and the second parameter we have to pass the array name. So if I copy this array name, pasting it here, all we have done now. So if I save this controller, save this route, copy this route name, back to our browser, and let's say that index.php, and this is our route name. So if I press enter, now we have some error, something called syntax error, and this is inside our file something called routes.php and the line number 27. So back to editor, this is something here, and actually we forgot to add the semicolon at the end. So if I save this file, back here, reload this page, now as we can see that this is the name from the student details array. So if I back to editor, let's say that instead of name, if you want to access the email address, so I'm going to just make comment of this line, copy this line, pasting it here. Instead of name, we are going to access the email address of this student. So save this file, back to browser, reload this page, and now this is the email address. So how can we access multiple features from this student array? Let's say that. So if I make comment of this line, let's say echo something called element function. Inside this element function, we are going to access something called email address and the roll number by using a single line. So inside that first parameter, I'm going to pass an array. Inside that array, basically we want to take the email address, and so this should be email, and something we want something called roll number. So after passing the key name, something called email and the roll number, and in the second parameter we have to pass the same as student array. So if I copy, pasting it here, save this controller, back to browser, reload this page, and we have some error, something called array key exists. And this is error because if I back to code editor, instead of this element function, we have called elements function, because we are going to access the multiple elements from this array. So we have to change the function name from element to elements. So if I save this controller, back to browser, reload this page, now as we can see that it returns the array value. It means that we have two details now. So if I store something here, let's say a data variable is there, and inside that variable we have stored the accessed information. So let's say that we are going to print called the data. So save this file, back here, reload this page. Now as we can see that inside this array we have email and the roll number. So these all informations actually we have picked from this student data by using this elements function. So if I back to slide, now as we can say that this is the element function basically used to get the single data, as well as we have seen about using called the elements function. So this should be something called elements, and this basically used to get the multiple elements from the array. So there should be something called multiples data. So if I go to code editor again, and let's say that if I just make comment of this line, because we understood about how can we get about the multiple information from the given array by using this elements function. So if I uncomment the first line, and let's say that we are going to retrieve about the phone number. So phone underscore number. As we can see that this key does not exist inside this student array data. So if I save this file, go to editor, reload this page. Now as we can see that no data has been displayed by using the key called phone underscore number. So let's say that if I supply, let's say phone number, and if I put some dummy value, something dummy value, save this file, back here, reload this page, and this is our phone number. Now we are not going to supply this information inside this student array. We want that. So inside element function we have the third parameter concept, and this is known as the default parameter. So if I back to slide, as we can see that this is a default parameter. It means that if we have no key, something what we have passed as phone number, in place of that key, if suppose we pass some dummy value 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0, this is the dummy value we have passed with this phone number. It means if this key exists inside this array, it will return the same value what we have right here. If it does not exist, then it returns the default value what we have passed. So if I save this file, back to browser, reload this page, now as we can see that this is the default value what we have passed inside the element function. If I back to code editor, now if I make comment of this line, uncomment of this line, or let's say that uncomment of this line, so inside this line we are using elements function, which basically used to get the multiple informations of the given array. And let's say that how can we use the default parameters right here? So let's say that we are going to pass the information something like that 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 0. This is the phone number we have passed, and inside that we have two values, means two keys like email address and the roll number. So if I pass something called phone number, phone underscore number, as we can see that this email address and the roll number exist inside this key, but remember we don't have any phone number supplied here. So if I save this file, back here, reload this page, now if I just uncomment this print R, save this, reload this page, now inside that we have email address, what we have inside student array data, we have roll number, what we have supplied. Now inside this phone number we don't have any key like phone number, so it will pick basically the default value we have passed inside this elements function. So basically guys, so far we have seen about the element and the elements function and the concept of default parameters inside these functions. So if I back to slides, now next function we have to see something called random underscore element. So if I back to code editor, let's say that we are going to comment this line also, and I'm going to use another array to understand about the random element function. So let's say that this is all about information array, and it contains the first line, it contains about the qualities of an employee. So let's say that employee is good, or let's say that Ram or Sanjay, employee is good. Let's say that Sanjay do, let's say, hard work. And also if I make another line, let's say Sanjay plays smart work at, let's say, software development. This is for the understanding about we have passed three different values inside this array. It means that this is a single dimensional array. Inside that we have passed three different elements, something here, something here and something here. We are going to understand about random element function of array helper. So let's say that echo something called random underscore element, and inside that I'm going to pass this info underscore array. Just paste it here, save this file, back to browser, reload this page. Now as we can see that this is Sanjay do hard work. This is the value basically random element picks from this line. Now if I again reload this page, now the statement has been changed. Again reload, statement has been changed. Again reload. As we can see that it is picking about the random elements at every page reload. So the basic concept to use about the random element function to pick about the random elements on the page reload. It automatically picks the random elements from the given array. Again, if I back to editor, let's say that apart from this information, if I put about the fruits detail, let's say that pineapple. Again, if I put something called mango, this is not about mango, this is about mango. So if I save this file, back here, reload this page, apple, again apple, again apple, this is mango, and we have pineapple, means all the elements are shuffled on the page refresh. So basically guys, inside this video we had learned about the array helpers, and we had seen about the three functions of this helper, something called element, elements and the random underscore element. So if you have any query inside this video session guys, then please drop your comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day.